the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast and it's hosted by Northern Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
I'm the other host, Paul, and we are joined by the ultimate nerd, the king of the nerds, the nerd maniac that is Captain Michael Goodwill.
What's up, guys?
And that's probably the
I'm
nicest intro I've ever given anyone, so feel worthy there, sir.
Feel
All
honoured,
right.
Goodwill, honoured.
My New Year's resolution is to be nicer to Goodwill, because I think last year I was a bit of a dick.
I'm so happy. I'm sleeping.
But yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. So yes, this is officially, because I know we did a New Year's special on the 1st, but this is kicking off the new year with a big bang.
Bang!
Bang!
Yeah.
Join
So this was my wonderful co-host's idea to do. She's been wanting to do a Big Bang episode. I don't know if she just likes the episode or just likes saying Big Bang, but so yes, we are going to be talking about, not reviewing, but just talking about the Big Bang Theory, which I keep thinking of this show as a new show, but it's not. It's really not.
It's not at
No.
all. It's not at all.
Oh, don't.
But before we get into all that, the big
Yes.
question of the day
I
is...
thought I got away from it.
No, you can never get away from it. So, how you's been? How's your week? And what you been watching?
You go first, Paul.
I'm not too bad. Just been, like I said, watching. Well, I've been catching up on stuff more than anything else because, like being a nerd and being like obsessed with anything, you kind of miss out on certain things and putting things on the back burner. But caught up on Narcos, on the
Oh.
Pablo Escobar story, which,
Mhm.
like I say, when I first saw it advertised, I was like, it seems interesting, but I wasn't, and he really took interest. But we watched the first episode, and I've not watched a show quite like it before because it's half in English, half in Spanish, half real footage as well.
Oh, okay.
But it's a dramatization. So like there's certain events that's real, but like blown up into things. But the actors and the people in it are so engaging and so amazing. Like
Mhm.
it's so well done. It's got I can't remember the name. I'm gonna try and remember the names. But the guy out of The Mandalorian and that's going to be in The Last of Us. He plays a prominent Pedro
Pedro Pascal.
Pascal. That's the one. And he's absolutely amazing it. But honestly, one of the strangest but most entertaining shows I've seen in a while.
Not something that's ever been on our radar, I must
Mhm.
admit. Not something I would like. I think my sisters watched it, but not something that's kind of been on our radar.
Definitely. And spent the full weekend remodeling the nerd barn at his room. So I'll take the camera and give
Come
everyone a
on,
look.
let's
Oh,
have a
live
look.
tour.
See.
So look stuff, nerd stuff.
Oh
There's
my
horror
god.
stuff. And got the Ghostbuster firehouse there, Sam, just for you.
Oh, look
One.
at that.
Daredevil on the top. And then
Daredevil on the top. Excellent.
So horror, pops, and then Jurassic Park. So yes, it's all been organised.
you-
And
Have you got it in sections? Have you got like everyone grouped together that they should be? I see Woody riding Mino over there.
we've got a new friend today, so I'll introduce him. Here's my
Oh, it's cool.
This is going to be a new member of Team Podcast. See if you can hear.
Oh, I can't hear nothing.
Couldn't hear that. It got cancelled.
I'm leaning in. I've got headphones on.
Oh well,
I
He
think
looks
I think
so
Zoom's
cool.
cancelling it as background noise.
possibly. But got Chucky.
if I was going to say, if anyone is listening, it is a talk to me Chucky doll.
Yes.
It's a beautiful cave, though. It looks
It is. It's
absolutely
looking fantastic.
stunning. Yeah.
Yes. So that's my weekend, and my back is fucking.
I am not surprised. I am not surprised. But just, I'm so glad you're kind of away from the display case because I don't want to have that nervous feeling
No.
like when we had Martin on of you going to knock everything over. So I'm glad you're away from it.
Contents
Here's the-
insurance, Paul.
Yes, I've already got that. That's all right. So the top half's Back to the Future, classic horror, new school horror, Ghostbusters, Stranger Things, and shit. So yes, it's all
It's
been
looking
kind of
well organised.
for once. Yes, so that's been my weekend. So I haven't seen my wife much, so I do feel sorry. And building a lot of Lego. Lego is harder than I remember.
I hate it. It's like jigsaws. I absolutely hate the shit.
Yes,
I can't get away with it.
and a lot of stuff got taken out the boxes. Sorry, Sam.
That's okay. There's certain things I do need to come out of boxes, and there's certain things I don't. And it's the ones that don't that you like to take out and torment me with.
Just noticed it looks like Elvira's fall over drunkenly in the corner there, but yeah, she's fine.
Straighten yourself up, girl.
Yeah.
You got this.
So, Michael, how's your week been?
Oh, I've been back at work after the new year and it's been absolutely crazy. So I've just been knackered, but I have been rewatching Alvida's Pet because it is the 40th anniversary of Alvida's Pet this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone back
Gosh,
to the beginning.
That makes a lot of sense given that I'm 40 this year.
Were you conceived during an
I know you. Were you conceived at a building site in
it's-
Dusseldorf?
It's actually a possibility, to be fair to my parents. It could be a possibility.
And talking about Sammy's parents. Hi, Sam's mum.
Oh, God.
Jesus, it
My
begins.
mum loves this attention, by the way. If
This
I
is gonna be
mention
the
that,
new
if I
Goonies drinking
mention,
game.
I think on the Sandman episode, I mentioned, oh, Mum, you were mentioned on it, and that's the reason she watched it. She does actually listen to us. Hi, Mum.
Oh, yes.
So yeah,
I'm
so I've been,
I'll be
so I've been watching.
I forget that's her name because it's not mine anymore.
I never forget her name.
Sorry, Michael. You've been watching Alvida's in bed. I'm really sorry. It's already started.
I mean, it's only been like 8 minutes before you
I
got
know.
Goonies, wasn't it? Jesus, this is the new drinking game for people. Instead of mention Goonies, it's just Sammy's mum now. So, but yeah, so I can't believe it's 40 years old.
Yeah.
So I've been rewatching that, and I mean, it still holds up. Obviously, some of the subject material, it doesn't really.
Some of Oz's language is a bit
Yeah.
choice for nowadays, but you got to look at it the context of when it was from and the time it was
Exactly.
from, what was going on in the world. So yeah.
Yeah. So I've just been rewatching that, and obviously Paul's cleaning and organizing sort of spurred me on. So I've done a bit myself, but I will not be moving my. Well, I will not be moving my entire laptop to show what I've been doing, but things are just it's fucking clean. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
Because-
he's not going to mention it, so I'll mention it. He did his first solo Twitch on.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
After I tried on Tuesday, after I'd fought my demons and all my massive anxiety all day on Tuesday, I got it psyched up, I got everything ready, and Twitch went down. So I
You
took
broke
that as a
Twitch.
sign. I broke Twitch. So yeah, last Wednesday I did my first solo stream on Far Cry 5, Cult versus Cult. We've got Hillbilly Paul with his mullet and United States tank top. So
Is that you?
it's Hillbilly Paul. Every game I play with a character, it has to be Paul. So it's Many
Oh.
Adventures of Paul in the
Oh,
video game
right.
universe.
I was like, why is
All-
Paul in the
all-
game?
just more evidence for the restraining order that when
Well, yeah,
they keep going
But,
out with Sunderland, so
but every yeah, but every Tuesday I will be solo streaming. At the moment, Far Cry 5, and then after that, maybe something else. I'm not sure. I haven't thought that far ahead. But every
I'm gonna-
Tuesday, 6:30 at Twitch.
I'm just happy that Goodwill is playing proper games, not stupid fucking truck simulators.
I knew
Oh,
that
give
was
it a
coming.
fucking rest, mate.
I knew that was coming.
But what he didn't realise, Sammy, is that
Mm.
during Far Cry 5, I nicked a truck to run people over. So technically, this was all a long con for me to get in a truck once more.
I love it. I love it. I've just been telling these what I was watching last night was I watched Robin Hood Prince of Thieves last night and had the best giggle to myself because it's not meant to be funny, but it was very funny. But during the week, me and Ant started watching Wrexham, the Wrexham Football Club documentary that's on Disney
Oh,
Plus.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Me and Ant are huge fans of Rob McElhenney, and we have been binging their podcast on YouTube recently, so we thought we'd give it a watch, and it's brilliant. Such a good series. And
I love it that it was all his idea, and Ryan Reynolds was getting all the credit for it. It's
I actually cried when I heard the reason why Rob McElhenney decided to go down, because I was going, well, why Wrexham? Like that was my first, like, why Wrexham? And then he explained that he's from Philadelphia and he comes from a place like that community is ran by sports. And you know the communities go up and down because of sports, and it's the same in Wrexham. And I was floored by his response. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. We're huge Sunny fans, and I'll do anything to support Rob. So I watched his show.
I think it was to do with the only like kind of big name team that was affordable at the time as well.
Most likely. But they got a win yesterday, so yay, Wrexham.
And I think it's been renewed for season 2 as well.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, interesting. We're not finished it yet, because we are, like I say, we're binging through the Always Sunny podcast that's on. It is on audio, but it's also visual. And if you're going to listen to it, watch it. Be a creep and watch it, as they call their fans.
Shout out to all our creeps on YouTube.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. So yeah, that's what I've been watching, and I also started Big Bang again today.
Bang.
Yeah. So
I didn't start it again. I've been flicking through a few episodes this week because I don't think I think before we went live as well, you don't realise how many actual episodes and series that we got, because everyone thinks there's Friends. Well, we'll get your disclaimer out the way first before I start going into...
let's do the disclaimer, and then we'll start going into the nitty-gritty of it all. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group where we can have an open discussion. What we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism.
Well done.
That was my best Superman impression.
That was Superman?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Wow.
Yep. I felt all empowered at the end, so I was like, oh, this is what Superman must feel like.
When he takes off his glasses and shit. But yes, I think it's quite interesting that we've all kind of dressed up as, like, say, characters of the Big Bang. Like Goodwill's kind of went to the cosplay aspect. Well, next year I'm getting Leonard vibes from Sam as well with the hoodie.
Yeah, hoodie.
And yes, I am being the anal retentive Sheldon, so that's fine. So nothing really changes with the players here, shall we say? But yes, it's coming back to what we were discussing, where I was about to discuss there. I don't think people realise how long this show did go for, because everyone thinks as Friends is the mainstay, but this had more seasons than Friends, which shocked me when you think about it, because Friends had 10, is that right?
Yeah, Friends was, because it was like 10 years, so yeah.
10.
This was the longest running sitcom in US history.
Yeah.
12 seasons.
12 seasons. I'm just trying to find the when it started.
2007.
Yep.
2007 to 2018.
The year I got together with my husband, 2007.
All right. So, just a question as well. Where were you when you discovered the Big Bang? Because did you watch the first episode and kind of get caught up, or was it like mid-season, or like, because I know it was shown on E4, wasn't it? When it first broadcast over here.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a story, so if you want to go ahead, you can go ahead.
I'll throw out that Goodwill first. So when did you establish a big banger, shall we say?
Shockingly, I was on at the ground floor. I'd heard about it. I'd just started uni, and like obviously I was studying TV with the BBC, and I was like, I'm gonna watch everything, and like I'm trying to be a smart ass and stuff like that. And I saw this coming out, and it was like, it's a sitcom about nerds, and I was like, oh. And I gave it a try, and first episode, I was like, yeah, I absolutely love this. And it's been a very few sitcoms where, from the very first episode, I'm like, yeah, I love this. And I was there on the ground floor, and I was there all the way through. Obviously, we didn't get it in the UK until later, so I did it through not
Other
legitimate
means.
but yeah, so September 2007, and I was like, wow,
So,
and that was it.
so you were the first Big Bang in it, then, shall we say?
Yeah.
But
Oh
yes,
my.
Oh my.
I was in Manchester at the time. I think I was one of the times I was in Manchester, and I just came across it. I'd say not in the best of relationships at the time, but just trying to think of something to watch, and it made us laugh. I think it was mid-season though, so it wasn't like say the first episode. It was like a few episodes in, then it made us go and find more episodes, and like I know at the time when because you couldn't stream, it was more downloading episodes, so you're finding
Yeah.
using what was it
Pirate Bay.
Pirate Bay, kick-ass torrents and stuff like that.
Kick-ass torrents.
And killing your computer with LimeWire and uTorrent and stuff like that.
Oh.
So your computer hard drive was pretty much fried after downloading a few things. Or like be careful what you were downloading as well, because there was a few sketchy things that was changed around. But
especially under the title Big Bang.
.exe.
But that was the thing when you're trying to locate these episodes, because it wasn't just you couldn't just download Big Bang Theory season 1. It had to be Big Bang was it S1 episode?
SO1 EO1.
That's it. That was the terms you had to actually search for.
The days.
Them were the days, like say, when actually made you used to work for to watch stuff and download things illegally, and then you start getting letters from you like Sky saying you've just downloaded this.
Did you actually get letters? Because I avoided that.
I got 3 letters. One for downloading Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
What?
What? Really?
Yeah, and 2 movies, I think. And it said like it come up with the torrent names and stuff like that where you download it. I was like, shit, VPN
VPN's the savior. That's what we had.
Yeah. But yes, but yeah, that's when I came about, and like say, I was hooked. Like same way I was like pretty much hooked with Friends. I watched Friends, and I think there'll be a lot of different connections or different like say crosstalk when it comes to Friends and The Big Bang, because I think this like they were years apart, but still had the same type of fan base or generation fan base, and spoke to the same kind of people, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yes, so tell us your story there, Sam.
Okay, so if people know me from the podcast, they know that my childhood was very much a boy's childhood. I grew up with my action figures, and I was very much a nerd. But in my late teens and early 20s, I was very heavily involved in music. Music was my life, was my passion. That's all I thought about. It's all I did until 2013, 2014, I started to have a shift. And Ant's been a nerd since he was a kid, comic book reader since he was a kid, like action figures, all that. And he was still like that, but I wasn't. Music, like that was my tunnel vision, was just music. And then I started to branch out. And obviously we all know my story of reading my first comic book and this, that, and the other. But Ant introduces to it as, and it wasn't, oh, look at this nerdy show, you're going to really appreciate it. It was like, it's about 4 scientists who just so happen to be nerds and who like the same things you do and who are the same age that you are. It is acceptable to continue liking what you like, even in your late 20s, early 30s. And that's how it was put to us. And I have such a special place in my heart for this show. So that is my introduction into Big Bang. And sorry for the very long-winded story, but it just needed to make sense.
No, I like the story. It's interesting because we had this discussion before we went live as well. Because with these type of American sitcoms, or you could, like as you said, Goodwill, the Alvida Same Pet, like say very much of its time. We can go back to Only Fools and Horses, Cheers, Frasier, Friends, all have this kind of like what if like back then you didn't think twice about it, but now everyone's kind of looking over these things with a microscope, and
Mhm.
kind of picking things apart to the
Yeah.
degree, rightly or wrongly. Again, but that's what the internet gives people. Like every arsehole's got an opinion. Um, not saying that everyone's an
true.
arsehole, but
No, but everyone, yeah, the internet is giving the voice to people to express their opinions.
yeah, and a lot of, like I said, the Big Bang did get a lot of backlash as well, like quite recently, or like say over the last few years, for the stereotypical like way it showed nerds or had like elements into it. But I think if you're looking for it through a certain like certain color, or like looking for it for a certain, like, to be offended, it is easy to find these things. But you can do that with any TV program and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
what again, you've just said it perfectly, like better than I could with this show. It's not like, say, a show about nerds, it's a show about scientists.
Mhm.
That's what a lot of people don't kind of grasp or
Yeah.
get past the aspect, or saying, oh, it's saying nerds can't speak to women, or women can't relate to nerds and stuff. But this was one of the first shows that made the women stronger than the men.
Yeah.
Which I think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
And like I say, I was a nerdy teenager, and I related heavily to a lot of like what the things like that he's gone into. Fair enough, a little bit older in life, but back a younger life, I was shy and nervous talking to girls. I used to stutter quite heavily when I talked to like an attractive girl. Now I just wish I could shut up. But it's weird because, and you wouldn't think about sharing like you with you the things you loved when you were a kid as well, because you felt like you want to be ridiculed or mocked or the thing.
Yeah.
And this kind of showed like it's okay to be collecting stuff like this, and I kind of relate heavily. And I'm probably looking out through rose tinted glasses. I don't see them like as the negative stereotypical people, because all you can, when you're watching from episode 1 to the last episode, the growth and everything that comes with it, like each character gets an arc. They don't leave anyone behind.
No.
Even fucking Stuart gets
yes,
things, and as well Will Wheaton, who's a side character, gets like a growth and a job and through it as well. So again, I don't want to say people are wrong or like people's opinions are wrong, because everyone's entitled to it. But if you go looking hard enough for things to mourn and to offend yourself, it's going to be a pretty boring world out there.
Oh God, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think what a lot of people don't realize about the Big Bang Theory, amongst other things, the Big Bang Theory was pivotal in not only popularizing nerd culture, which, you know, you can take the good and the bad from that, but like Paul said, it made people comfortable with being a nerd. It was like, it's okay to collect shit. It's okay to like love what you want to do. It's okay to LARP. It's okay to go into a park and just be yourself.
That's what I took away from it, and that's what I needed, because at the time I was very much like, when Anthony introduced us, like, it's for scientists who just so happen to be nerds, and it's the way he went, it's for scientists, Ghostbusters, there's a link. But yeah, he was, because I was like very sheepish about the fact that, oh, I actually really do like comic books, and I very much do like me superheroes, and I was quite sheepish about it. And he was like, you honestly don't need to be. Like, there is a whole community out there who will quite happily welcome you with open arms. But this show is kind of like, it's the epitome of nerd. And that's how I was introduced into it. And I don't want to say I'll fight anyone because I'm soft as shit, but I will argue my point of how much this show actually means to us.
Certainly. One thing I wanted to ask people, I know, like, say we were going to have other people on this as well, which I thought like an interesting topic would have been, which character in the show do you most relate to, or do you relate to a multitude of characters?
Oh God, that's such an interesting question, because you can usually start with who's your favorite character, and then I can go off on like a ramble about that.
No, but that's an easy one.
I know, and but who do I relate to? Goodwill. Have you given that any thoughts? Like,
that's a really tough one.
I
mean, loosely, I'd say Leonard. because obviously he was bullied heavily as a child, as most of them were. And he he struggles with the ladies in the earlier seasons, but I would say, yeah, I would say the main cast, it would be Leonard.
Okay,
Cool.
so just giving it a quick run through in my head, I don't think I can relate to any of the males on there, any of the male background stories, because I wasn't the nerd for. I was a nerd as a kid, but I dropped it. I didn't continue it on. I can't relate to that. I'm not smart. I am very much a Penny, like very much a Penny. I am incredibly naive, gullible, uncertain, unsure. There's a lot of me in Penny.
Right. So you kind of got on board and just like say the way of Thor's hammer, shall we say?
Exactly.
Mine's probably going to be like a little bit of a surprise. I'm not going to say that like say Sheldon or anything, because like say I'm not as anally retentive as that. Probably Howard, which because like say I think Howard a lot of times does get overlooked, and for large portions of me growing up, I did always feel like that guy that was always overlooked and not as good as everyone else. But and in my teenage years, I was one of the biggest sex pests you'll ever see going around. Like I said, there's a lot of lasses that could come on this podcast that's been on this podcast can kind of tone to as well. But yeah, probably the Howard side of things. Like I say, being honest, like say because yeah, like never knowing where I fit in, or like always like saying like for a lot of my youth, I tried so hard to be liked, and I think that's like the epitome of Howard, where he doesn't see it as that, and it took us a long time to grow up to realize it as well.
Oh my God, the Big Bang is like bringing out all the heartfelt,
all the emotions there.
That's such a good question though, because like I thought we were going to go in with who's your favorite character and who's your least favorite character, and I could spin a yarn on that one, but that was a really good question.
Well, let's lead into the next one, as you said. Okay. Who is your favorite character then?
Oh my God, it's Sheldon. I love Sheldon Cooper. I love Sheldon from episode 1 to the very final episode. That man's growth through from he's not the same person, but he is the same person. But it's just he grows so much, but still manages to keep his integrity and who he is. I just love watching him, because me and Ant will watch this once a year, and I've now put the episodes on. We will continue this until it's finished. And I just love watching from episode 1 to the final one and seeing him just become like I don't want to say like he's a better version of himself, because he was pretty okay to start with. He's just I love him so much.
But I think that's
he's
where
such
the
a special
show,
person.
Yeah, I think that's where the show does well. The growth in these shows isn't making them better. It's more making them more confident.
Yeah.
That's
and
like
learning as well.
Yeah, because like say when you get a show that goes on and like say it's about becoming a better person and stuff, these weren't bad. Like say when you look at it, these weren't bad people. They weren't bad characters. They hadn't done anything wrong. They were just very innocent and naive. And I think with the growth, that thing. But the Sheldon, what I used to love about, like I say, I'll talk about my favourite character in a second. What I loved about this as well, because I am one of these people that when San Diego Comic-Con comes around, I get really excited about the panels that get showed. And there's certain panels I always look forward to, like the Supernatural panel, the Kevin Smith panel. Even though I can't be there, like for years it was a dodgy recording that was put on YouTube.
We had to rely on the people in Hall H to provide us with the dodgy links, and my God, do they then people come through for us?
But then they start broadcasting like the link, the actual panels on Comic-Con. I think they've done it over the last 3 or 4 years, especially with lockdown and everything. But the Big Bang Theory was always one of the ones to look out for, because the whole cast used to always turn up without fail. Like there wasn't one member that thing, and when someone become a character, a regular, they were always added to the panel and they would talk and love. And the question that used to always come up was how Sheldon was portrayed, and they used to always stand steadfast with what they were saying. Said, look, they're not doing any disorder. They're not saying Sheldon's got this, that, or that. It's just Sheldon. And I thought that was a really strong statement to make, because they could have went, oh, Sheldon's got this. Sheldon's got this condition, and that wouldn't have worked. It would have taken it away from a little bit as well. It probably would have give back some people to be relatable, but then it would have been open more to be mocked in a way.
No, absolutely. Sheldon is special because of it's Sheldon. There's no label to him. That's just who he is, and he does not change. If you watch him, he does not change the way that he is, but he does grow, and he does learn, and he does listen, and he behaves like a human being and learns from his mistakes, like the way that he treats Howard over his job, like Mr. Wolowitz. It's beautiful to watch him mock him because he doesn't have a PhD, but to then on another episode gives Hallie a grant for when she's at school. Like he's just, I love the way he interacts with Howard. Anyway, I think their friendship is quite it's quite unique. Yeah. I know him and Leonard is always going to be like the main focal points because they are best friends, but him and Howard are just as interesting to watch as him and Leonard.
Definitely. So good. Well, who was your favorite character?
Amy Farrah Fowler.
High five. I'm with you.
Because because she, over the seasons, she really came into her own. And one of the most, there's two scenes I absolutely, to this day, will laugh out loud. And it's one where Sheldon gets her a gift and she goes, cheap tacky jewelry? Really? You really think oh, it's a tiara. It's a tiara. Put it on me, put it on me, put it on me, put it on me, put it on me. I'm a princess. And it just floors me. And then the other one was episode 1 of Dr. Sheldon Cooper Presents Fun with Flags.
Flags.
And she sits there and she's waving a white flag and he goes, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm surrendering for fun. Just the way she says it, it floors me. But her character goes from, let's be honest, from the end of season 3, a female Sheldon, to her own person who absolutely adores and loves Sheldon, and no one can ever change her mind, but she doesn't take his shit.
Yeah. No, she doesn't.
And with her being a neurobiologist, she knows exactly how to change him in a subtle way that he doesn't pick up. He could be the smartest person in the world, but he doesn't fucking think for a second that she's got him right under her thumb.
She really does.
Yeah. And some people say, oh, it's manipulation. Well, kind of.
We all do it.
But she does it. Out of pure love for Sheldon to make him a better person, not just for her, but for himself and for everyone else.
It's just the social aspect. That's all she's changing. It's not him personally. She's just changing his social way in order to, help him. She understands the world a bit better than what he does. And that's all she's doing. But there is one moment. I love Amy Farrah Fowler from the second she came on and introduced herself in that very robotic voice. I absolutely adored that. But there was one moment that really fucking pissed us off with Amy Farrah Fowler, and it's the Fun with Flags episode with Will Wheaton, because she was totally in the wrong.
She was such a dick to Will Wheaton.
She was completely in the wrong, and it's the only one time I have ever went, Amy Farrah Fowler, like, how dare you?
I think with that one, I think she was jealous that potentially Will Wheaton would take the limelight away from Sheldon.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just really annoyed the shit out of us.
I think a lot, but I agree with Goodwill. Like, say at the start, my favorite again is the most obvious one was Leonard, because that's what the show's focal point was towards. But when Amy Fowler came on, it kind of changed the dynamic, and you could tell how much fun she was having on the show as well. And the cast kind of like jumped on that. Like, say that was the impression I got from it, was like it started like because with these long shows, it could have got boring. It could have got like formulaic. You could have guessed what was going to happen, which in a way it did happen at times. But with her character and what she brought into it was always fun, and I loved as well. Like I don't know the actress's name, just like when she was in
Maya
Blossom.
Malik.
Maya
Yes.
Bellic.
Yes, and
Blossom.
yes,
Yeah, she was in Blossom.
the
They reference it in an early episode, don't they?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the fact that because she is actually like a scientist herself in real life and she's got these PhDs, that they used to fact check everything with her to make sure everything was
Yeah.
correct, and I think that's just absolutely brilliant.
She
Yeah,
she is during the takes, she was the one that had the most laugh. Like obviously, I mean, you always get it on sitcoms. You get that one person. I think Lisa Kudrow was the person in Friends
God,
where
yeah.
they are just unstable laughing wrecks in between
Yeah.
scenes.
Mhm.
Maya Balik was like that. And obviously when the fudged the lines, she would be the one just hysterically laughing, but
Yeah.
she did it in a way that just the audience warmed to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't see Maya Balik on off character.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I didn't even when she first came on as Amy Farrah Fowler, I didn't even do the reference of oh god, it's Blossom because I used to watch Blossom as a kid. She was Amy Farrah Fowler. Like there's no comparison. I just love how she is with Penny. I love the trio of Bernadette, Penny, and her.
Mhm.
And I thought that was such a smart move to bring in friends for Penny.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
she
that was a
wasn't
really
relying
smart
on-
move.
yeah.
and like I say, not the quintessential friends that Penny would have had, or
No.
like in real life type thing. Like let's be honest, all the girls in this is absolutely gorgeous, but they downplayed it like to the point where it was like always like Penny was the pretty girl and the other two was like the bridesmaids, like always the bride, always and stuff like that. But but then later on, Penny kind of let the like the actress who plays Penny as well must have like been a choice not to be the main star and kind of shared it with them as well. Like Bernadette gets at times to shine as well. Like that woman is just a firecracker, and I
is
love her
hilarious.
so much. Like say, so many fantasies could be like say it's said about Bernadette, but we'll not go there today.
she is such a firecracker, and she's an amazing actress. I do like the progression that went with Bernadette, because I feel like when she first came into it, she may not have been there to stay. So the voice wasn't there, the mannerisms weren't there. It wasn't until when her and Howard made it official and she then comes into the apartment, I think that's when, because then her voice changes, that high pitched voice that you get, and for her to keep that up during film, because she talks quite low, like her voice, I watched a film with her in Bronze about the gymnast. My god, what a complete night and day switch from Bernadette. Like it was scary. I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize she could say them words.
It's like the voice of the actress who did Rosa in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Where it's like the two accents are night and day, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, you sound like that. And then the first time I heard the actress who plays, but I was like, wow, that is a deep voice.
She talks really quite low.
Yeah.
You were talking about them on San Diego Comic-Con and their panels. I used to listen to a podcast called Nerdist, and he hosted Chris Hardwick. He did the panels for Big Bang Theory at the time, and he had on one of his episodes the whole panel. And it was the most funniest shit I have ever heard. Listening to Howard and Bernadette do I can't think about the name now. Howard Wolowitz, Mrs. Wolowitz, doing a Mrs. Wolowitz off.
Yeah,
Was
I think I've heard that one. Yeah,
absolutely hilarious.
So I know we'll get this out the way as well, because I know he's probably been dying to tell this story.
Oh yeah, of course.
Give us your claim to fame about this show, Goodwill.
Oh right.
Look at him acting nonchalant about it.
didn't know he was going to get brought up at all.
I genuinely fucking forgot. Yeah. So my claim to fame. Fuck off. I am technically in an episode of The Big Bang Theory. By technically, I mean my dumbass laugh is in an episode.
I can't wait to get to this episode, by the way.
We'll be signing autographs at Nerdfest just to say £10 a pop.
The laughing Big Bang.
I am the laughing Big Bang. Yeah,
he puts the laugh in the Big Bang.
It's the season 10 episode. I don't know what episode number it is. I think it's early on, either 4 or 6.
What happened?
The Fetal Kick Catalyst. So season 10, the Fetal Kick Catalyst. It is a scene now. Obviously, being in the audience for an episode, it's about 4 hours to record an episode live. Things change.
You sat there for 4 hours.
4 hours. About 4 hours.
Yeah.
You get free food, free drinks, and everything like that. You're well and truly catered for. I mean, I've got loads of, my mate who I was on holiday with sort of put his foot in it with Kaylee. What's her surname? Kaylee Kuko's father. But I'll get to that. But some of the scenes, obviously, they do a load of live scenes, but certain scenes, they need laughter to cover it. So what they do, they roll a VT of a pre-recorded scene, you watch it on the TV, and you laugh at it. So I said to my mate, I was like, I'm going to get me laughing this. I said, so fucking help me God, I'm going to get a laughing, because the microphone was right above our head. So it's the scene earlier on in the episode, I think it's a couple of minutes into the episode, where Howard and Bernadette are in bed, and she feels Hallie kick. Mm-hmm. So she's like that. And that's when Howard starts to freak out. You know, this is the point where he's like, oh my God, I'm going to be a dad. And, you know, when he starts overthinking and stuff. And there's a bit, hang on, I think I've written it. Yeah, there we go. He says, Willy Wonka would roll you to the juicing room because she's that big. And everyone's laughing. And I just went at the end, I went, and I thought, yeah, and I thought, yeah, they'll cut that out. It's absolutely fine. A couple of months later, Fetal Kick Catalyst is on telly. There's the fucking laugh, and I'm like, oh my God, they fucking kept it in, didn't they? So now every time it's on the telly, all I hear is myself going, I was like, that's me claim to fame. It's now Flash.
I can't wait to get to that episode.
It's now Flash, but he says that, and then you just hear right at the end, But my friend, because obviously when you're filming, they have like an intermission because they do a scene and then they have to set up for the next scene. But what they do, they have like a half an hour break because the audience is sat there for like 2.5 hours. It is fucking tiring. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they give you food and everything like that. And what happened was Johnny Galecki and Kaylee Kuko came up to the audience. So they came up to like the gang rail. Mm-hmm. The front, and you know, they said we just want to speak to the audience, and they genuinely interacted with the fans, but they did the speech and they said, oh, we just want to thank you, because they said we never thought in a million years we'd get to 10 years of this show. And we want to thank every single one of you for making the effort, for coming, because they knew there was like people from England and all over the world attending this recording, and they were like, we can't believe like people travel and like want to spend time here. And we're like, honestly, they were so genuine. But my friend who was with me, he leant over and he was like, that Kaylee Kuko, I tell you what, I tell you what, man, I should get it. Forgetting that we were behind the control room where Kaylee Kuko's father was, who overheard him.
Oh my God.
And he went, thanks, Birdie. I've never heard someone's ass squeak before in my entire life. And he was the quietest fella for the entire fucking recording. Didn't even laugh for the rest of the recording. Because Kaylee Kuko's father, I don't know if he was an agent or a manager or something like that, but he attended nearly every recording.
Yeah.
All right.
So he would be in the audience. And
he could just be a supportive dad.
No, yeah. I think she's one of these child actors, because literally all the things she's been in, like 8 Simple Rules, Charmed. She's been pushed, like probably one of these pushy dads or pushy parents, getting their daughter through the door and stuff. So it will be having some management in there, I bet you.
But if you ever watch, if the Fetal Kick Catalyst is ever on E4 or you're rewatching it, the scene where he says Willy Wonka could roll you to the juicing room, look out for my dumb laugh at the end of the laugh track.
Oh, I am going to. And then I'm going to record it so I have it forever on my phone.
But to dispel the myth, there is no canned laughter. It is real audience laughter. that they
Yeah.
use.
Cool.
I've seen the videos of them, especially towards the end, where they were doing the mass dancing and singing. And my God, Johnny Galecki is a miserable bastard outside of playing Leonard. Like
He's
he
he's very moody. Not like
he's
negative
very
moody, but he's
sullen,
just
but
like he's very like
Very sullen.
I'm too cool for
Yeah.
school. Yeah, and he was like Jim Parsons, who looks like a giraffe dancing around, still looked like he was having the time of his life dancing to the Backstreet Boys. And you got Johnny Galecki at the side going, I'm just too good for this. Like,
Stop dissing David.
oh, I would never diss David, but Johnny Galecki, he just comes across as quite moody and he's like the complete counterpart to Leonard.
To be
Like,
fair, that's just me outside of this podcast as well.
Canal Nair, he's quite fun as well. Like they all interact with the audience. I mean, how can you not when you're in front of like 150 people? Do you know what I mean? But Canal Nair, like people were like, "I love you, Canal." And he's like, "I love you too," and he was just so happy. Yeah.
The guy who plays Howard was in the Guild.
Mm-hmm.
Felicia Day. Thingy. That has literally just come to my memory bank. Have you got favorite episodes? Can you remember any of the favorite episodes?
I've got. It's hard to say favorite episodes because, like I say, I'm more favorite moments type thing with this type of show because there's things that just happen throughout the episodes. But like I say, I've got quite a few I would love to name as well. But I know you two probably have some. So I know we'll let you answer that one first, and Sam then.
I only have one favorite episode because you're right, it's moments. Like I have favorite moments, but one favorite episode, and I will scream and cry if I miss anything in it, is the episode where where Penny gets addicted to video games.
Yes.
It's my favorite episode. Like I think I've seen it a million times. Like I will literally watch it just on its own. I think that episode just quintessentially sums up how 2014 went for me. Like that is the year I started playing video games like properly, like really like properly. It just sums up my year in that one episode, and I think it's hilarious. The fact that it's the crisps in the hair.
And just starts eating the crisp as well.
Yes.
And when even Sheldon's sick of her, so he's trying to get her set up with someone to get her out the house and stuff, and it's like, dude, she totally doesn't look like the picture. But
I just love it. I love that episode so much. I wanted a pink Dell laptop for a long time after that episode until Anth reminded us we already had a Dell laptop and it was shit. So yeah, that's my favorite episode.
Mine's because something happens in this episode that I think it couldn't have, like, if they'd done 15 million takes, it would never happen again. It was like a once in a lifetime like situation, and they kind of played it with it as well, because they could have just basically laughed about a corpsed out, and we would never have seen this like element. It was the episode where Penny and Leonard were pretending to be back together, so a dad like wouldn't get off her back. So like Leonard and Sheldon totally was getting pissed off because he thought that because he had lied to Sheldon. So Sheldon wrote up the new roommate agreement to include Penny, and the whole interaction with Penny's dad, and like I said, genuine, just like say, because Leonard is a lovely guy, and how Penny's dad is like, no, you have to keep fighting for me, for my daughter. I don't want you to give up.
Just take her back. Just take her back.
Just don't ever do that. But the sheer amazement is when Sheldon is in the room and Leonard tells him, "Oh, we broke up again," and he throws the roommate agreement up in the air, and all the pages scatter around, and there's one piece of paper that lands on the side of his face, and it stays there. And in no way could that have happened, or like happened on purpose, or anything. No. And Sheldon just keeps a straight face, the guy who plays him, and kicks off and shrieks at him and storms off. And it was just like, that was just magic, because like say that piece of paper, there's no way that could have happened, like, and done it that way. And the fact that it just landed on his head was just absolutely amazing. I love that they kept it in, and for me that always stands out when I watch that episode. It just brings such a smile on my skin, because it's just original.
Yeah, I was asking Ant today, like, what's the best bit of Big Bang? Like, just name one thing that's the best bit, because I'm gonna get that clip and use it on TikTok. And he went, the first thing that came to head, James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
And you like Star Wars? I like
Star
Wars
Wars
too. And it's when he knocks on Carrie Fisher's door and she's going, "It's not funny, James. It was to
Yes,
me."
it is. I've
Then
got a
why
Lion
am
King
I
residual
still
check.
laughing? No, it's then why am I still laughing?
Let's go to Tijuana.
But there's one other moment that Anthony literally has to leave the room because he's laughing so much. It's when the bird's in the apartment and he's chasing it out, and he uses the sonic thingy at the window, and the whole window just goes
and
cracks. And finds that, I don't get it. I laugh more because of him, but he doubles over in laughter because of that cracked window.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why it's not that funny. But I get the James Earl Jones bit, and that's the one I used on TikTok.
What about you, Goodwill? What was your like what one stands out to you?
I'm very much like you, Paul, where I don't have a favorite episode per se. I have moments. I mean, obviously, I think I'll just say favorite episode is the one I was watching, that I was out of the recording of. It's if you ever have the chance to go to LA, anyone, go to these recordings. They are free of charge. You get fed, and it's
there's food.
There's food. There's pizza, and it's free. But the whole thing is free, and you are. I mean, not to jazz it up, but you're watching history, especially if you can watch a big show. You're watching history, and you're part of that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So every time that show is on telly, you're like, I was there. So, favorite episodes that, but much like what Paul said, there is scenes dotted throughout, and one of them, again, it was a mistake, and they kept it in. And it is Sheldon again, where he's putting his dinner tray away, and he slams it at the top of the dinner tray, and it just bounces off and lands on the floor. And Jim Parsons just looks at it and he goes, puts it back just gently, and then walks off. Shit like that, right, in sitcoms, when they just keep it in, for me, it just makes it. And I always remember it was the same scene in, just to digress, but in that 70s show when Ashton Kutcher, when Michael jumps over the sofa and nearly breaks his fucking neck because he jumps over the sofa.
Bless me, sorry.
Bless you. Jumps over the sofa and nearly goes ass over tit on the table. Right. And you can hear the audience just pissing themselves laughing.
No,
when they keep,
not shock.
Yeah, but when they keep stuff like that in, it makes it so much more genuine. And when I see that, I laugh. The paper one, I laugh at. But it's tiny things like when Sheldon hugs Penny for the first time.
Oh, and the audience with the Leonard Nimoy's
DNA. And he's like, DNA. Do you realise what I mean? If I've got a healthy ovum, I could clone Leonard Nimoy. And he goes in for the world's most awkward hug. And and Penny's like, Sheldon's hugging me.
Anytime Sheldon had any touchy interaction, because talking about relationships, Sheldon and Penny's is the most progressive relationship, and really just so fucking special to watch.
It's very brother and sister.
Absolutely.
Like how they tease each other and but the love and the admiration has always been there as well.
It's that one episode where they're sitting on the couch together, and they're doing an experiment, and they've just got to look into each other's eyes, and she says, "I can't imagine my life without you." And he's going, "I can't imagine my life without you either." And I'm like, oh my God. And it's just such a beautiful relationship to watch.
Yeah.
I think the only other episode that I really love is when Sheldon loses his virginity, and it's between Star Wars and losing his virginity. And the only reason I love it, twofold. One, Will Wheaton wears a Star Trek uniform to the Star Wars.
Oh God, yeah.
Big up. And fun fact, he does that now every time. So when he goes to see Star Wars, he wears a uniform. And the other bit, and it's only like a few seconds, it's after Amy and Sheldon have had sex, and it's Amy's face and hair. Because Sheldon has wrecked that shit from the look on Amy's face.
Wrecked that shit.
Just-
My
that is
God.
that is goodwill saying, yeah, that's.
Mm.
But
Ladies.
like I say, one of the I think is the most popular episode out there is when Sheldon loses his shit and can't think of anything, so he's trying to like say make work out his equations and stuff, so he's smashing things, throwing the things, and then when he's in the ball pit with Leonard, and Leonard's chasing him and he's like going on the thing going Bazinga and popping up every so often. That is one of the, like say, just the comedy timing and just the sheer frustration that Leonard's feeling, but how, like, because I know that you get the outtakes and stuff afterwards of them still going, but that shows you how good they were as well, like how
Yeah.
professional. Like there must have been so many corpses and there's so many times the breakdown. Like with some of the stuff I know, if you go on YouTube, there's like hours and hours of bloopers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But,
Oh God, sorry.
but like other moments as well, like not Sheldon loses virginity, but when Sheldon goes to the prom and he tells Amy that he loves her for the first time, that again is just a magical moment. One of my favourite episodes, just for how sad it is, as well, is when Howard's mum passes away.
Yeah,
And
that's
how
raw.
sad it is.
That.
But then you get the second episode after that, which is one of the funniest bits, is when they're in the airport, and they've lost his mum, and he's freaking out, and Bernadette's trying to keep it together, and then he tells her that story about he could have drove her to the airport, but he was too busy. And then how she just pulls the air
Find
to
my
one
dead
side,
mother-in-law.
just all calmly and nicely saying, just let you know, if you don't file my mother-in-law, I'm still leaving with one dead body. And you see the woman's face just like proper cry. But,
that episode is so beautiful. The one where Mrs. Wallowitz passes away, because obviously the actress did die as well. Who played Mrs. Wallowitz, which is why her character went. It's what Sheldon says to Howard about his dad. Breaks us, absolutely breaks us. He talks about how the loss of a parent.
Right.
When they're standing in the comic book shop, and he's talking about like because Howard's all ready for some sort of like kickback from Sheldon, like some sort of knockdown, and it's something quite heartfelt about, like, I understand what it is to lose a parent.
Yeah, and
it's
then
so heartwarming.
And Penny cries, says, I thought he was going to say let it go. But what if we're going to talk about like emotional moments as well,
there's
one
loads.
of my highlights is when they find the letter from Howard's dad, and they all tell different stories, and I'll get the reference in now, guys, so you can be happy. And Sheldon gives them the plot of the Goonies.
He does.
Which,
take a drink, everyone.
He's done it.
He's done it. But yeah, absolutely brilliant, and like hearing all the stories and seeing, but everyone has them type of like big moments. Like I think with a show as comedy and as daft as it is, these relationships that you kind of like get attached to and get like gravitate towards and stuff as well. But I know we'll probably talk about it a little bit more later on. But the final episode as well. When a show ends, it's like you've had so much success. It's like, how do you end it? And there's so many ways you can make a mistake. And again, I know a lot of people do like it, but I always felt a bit let down with the Friends ending, like the final episode of Friends. I didn't get the closure. I didn't get the closure, or it didn't feel as grand as this. And with The Big Bang, you got the grand ending.
Yeah,
and
you did.
I think. Sorry, go on.
And they stick the landing perfectly.
I think with Friends, obviously they'd done 10 years. I think there was still that hope with Friends, because obviously they had the Joey spin-off ready to go. I think that they left it sort of open-ended. And I think they sorted it with the Big Bang Theory, because Chuck Lorre had an interview a couple of years before I think it was during season 10, and he was like, Big Bang Theory, he said it'll go as forever, as far as I'm concerned, because there was no plans at all to end the Big Bang Theory. It was purely because Jim Parsons was leaving. That they were like, right, we're going to wrap it up, because I feel that some things weren't fully resolved. And I think they deliberately left it, although it was it was a satisfying ending. But I think they did it in a way where they were like, we could come back to this in a few years' time and just pick up.
I really don't want them to. I just leave it alone. Just 12 series was enough. We got the end. I think we got the ending we deserved. Are we all right to talk about the ending, or do you want to just talk about moments again? Because I can talk about moments.
We'll leave the ending until a bit later as well. Just because, like I say, I think it was like a magical way to end it as well. But a lot, like with a lot of these shows, there's a lot of things that potentially could go wrong or like go down the wrong mistakes made. But the thing I think what the Big Bang kind of did well, it righted a lot of mistakes quite quickly. And there was a lot of course corrections and stuff. But they used a lot of the side characters really, really well. I can say, and some of the characters that kind of kept on coming through and coming back. It was, so, in my opinion, done well. But I've never known a show to use cameos as well as this one as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Because with certain cameos or certain people that they brought in, it could have been overshadowed, but it wasn't. There was reasons for the people bringing in, and they did it like amazingly. Like, for example, one of my favourites is the Mark Hamill brought in, and what was it, Mark Hamill?
He's been in twice. He was in twice. He was the one who brought the dog back. No, the one who come for the dog for Howard, because Howard had his dog. And he also officiated Sheldon's wedding.
That was the same episode.
Was it the same episode?
Yeah, because that's how Howard got him, because he found the dog.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense then, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Howard was like, oh, what can I do to like repay? Because this dog means the world. And then Will Wheaton sitting there and going, oh, I thought Will Wheaton was officiating. He went, yeah, I got an upgrade.
Yes, I do remember now. I thought it was 2 separate occasions, but it's not, and it makes total sense now that you said it.
No, but and I loved the interaction between Will Wheaton and Mark Hamill as well. Will Wheaton, so it was like being all edgy with him being an edgelord Star Wars fan. Good Will. And basically went up to Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was like, who are you?
I love Will Wheaton's arc in the whole series.
Yes.
How he's like Sheldon's nemesis to then his best friend.
But it's like the story of why Sheldon put him on the list. And it's sort of like, I can sort of imagine that. And then Will Wheaton was a bit of a dick, and then they just they reconciled, and then they just became like the best of friends. And even Sheldon's like, my best friend Will Wheaton. And it's the way that I mean, Will Wheaton, for people who don't know, obviously he was on Star Trek, and he was only on for the first 3 or 4 seasons of The Next Generation, and that was it.
Which he's not fucking bitter about at all.
And that was it. So that, but
he was in Stand By Me as well. Don't forget about
he was in Stand By Me. Yeah. and he's back. No spoilers, but he he is a real life nerd. He is, his real life is podcasting and doing tabletop games. So he's quite literally he's nerdy up north in America.
I tried to get him to come on here, but I haven't had any responses yet.
But I love that arc, and I think like Paul said, the way they've handled the guest stars, it was done in such a way where they were never announced or anything like that. They were just there.
Well, one of my favorites is Stanley, and it's not because it's Stanley's in it. It's Raj doing the names that eventually gets him banned from having Gelato with Stanley. It's when he goes Fing Fang Po. just love it.
The little
Absolutely.
passive aggressive autograph that he gets is like to
It's like-
Raj Stanley.
Yeah, everyone's like Excelsior Stanley to Raj from Stan.
But even then, like later on, like Sean Astin's cameo as the bad scientist who were against.
Oh, I hated him so much, and he was like, "No, my Sam, you're such an asshole."
Let's get physical.
Like, Kevin Smith was in it a few times, like one by voice, and then one when he was in the Dungeons and Dragons games with Joe Manganiello and
Manganiello
and William Shatner. Like, say, even when William Shatner's been on as well, and he's like, "Can I call you Captain?" He's like, "No," and he's like, "Okay."
What about the legend that is Professor Hawken, the late Professor Hawken?
Yes.
Yeah. And how much of a sport he must have been, like, say, some of the jokes that was thrown in about him there. Like, when Howard made that little robotic... I actually wanted one, though, as well.
The very first episode, when the very first time you meet Howard, he says, "You're never going to believe this, what I've got." And he puts it in and it's like, it is Professor Hawken before he became a computerized voice. And he does and he says the very first episode, but they say Hawken had a fucking banging sense of humor.
Yes.
Like, it was quite a dark sense of humor as well. And he was, he loved that show. I do like his references.
Did you ever hear, just a little quick side, because this is how like funny Professor Hawken was. He was doing an interview once and he faked dying.
See, I told you he's really dark.
Yeah. So he was going to do an interview with someone, right? And they were like, "So, Professor Hawken," and he didn't blink, he didn't move, he did nothing. And they were like, Professor Hawken. And then next thing, when they were like trying to get some help, all they heard was like dead silently because he faked dying. But that's how twisted Professor Hawken was. But like, I lay you a bet, like some of the scenes he ad-libbed, like the bit where they're like, "Oh, it was a Skype message or something," and he's like, "It's okay, I was on The Simpsons."
Wasn't Leonard Nimoy
Yes,
in an episode?
He was on. He played the voice.
Because I know
of the doll.
he's referenced a lot.
Yeah.
The doll, that's it. He was the doll.
He done the voice.
The doll that was taken out of the packaging.
Yeah, there was a lot. Well, there wasn't the doll that was taken out. It was the transporter
It was
that was taken.
the transporter.
Oh,
Yeah, and he broke it.
Yeah. The other ones, like say Sarah Michelle Gellar at the end, where she was Howard. Not where
Is that Buffy?
Is that Buffy? Like Summer Glau, and like you see on the train.
Glau,
The train episode was one of my favorite episodes as well. How they were
It's
all
hot in here. It must be summer.
And showing Raj like taunting her with drinking non-alcoholic beer, and he goes suddenly shuts up. I didn't know he was totally going to be in there.
Non-alcoholic beer.
But one of my like ultimate favorite cameos was Nathan Fillion, just because like seeing him in the shop and like he's pretending not to be Nathan Fillion, and then like says okay, then you got Raj being Raj and totally upsetting Nathan Fillion.
Because Raj is quite he comes across as such a lovely person, but to other people he's very arrogant.
Yes,
like he's got such an arrogance to him, especially with women, which I think bodes fair that he didn't do very well in the women department.
I think that's because of his background as well, little rich boy. Like he had everything he ever wanted, but
his references to India hilarious.
Yes, but
absolutely hilarious.
But I think that's like say where Raj, and again that was one of the things that probably Goodwill did touch on, that we never got like a finalized story with Raj, like it never got like a happy ending for him. But again, I don't think that's what friendships or relationships are. Not all your friends do get that happy ending, so it kind of stayed true to life. But I'd say his story as well, like as you said, the more confident he got, the more of a dick we got. But like say some of the women he went out with like were just hilarious. So that was like say some from the one that was scared of like being outside. I've forgotten that she was in Scrubs as well. She played Ted's wife in Scrubs.
Oh yeah.
But the one who had social anxiety issues.
Yeah, she was hilarious.
The one who. Oh yeah, she's a stand-up comedian. She is. She runs a troupe with the girl who played Sheldon's assistant who ends up getting obsessed with him.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Them
Yeah.
two work together. They are very funny together.
And like I said, one of the other cameos I loved, Stephen Merchant.
Merch, the merch, absolutely.
Kiss him, you magnificent fool.
Who was more in love with Sheldon Cooper than she was. But yeah, like I said,
His mannerisms in that scene were just when they're just kissing and he's just sat there and he's like, well, let's be off.
I love the merch.
lovely to meet you, Dr. Cooper.
that because a lot of people that did have cameos or, as you said, side characters did grow throughout as well and get more and more. So who was your favourite side character, would you say?
Stuart.
Zach.
Zach.
Oh, is that just because you wanted to touch him?
Nah, he was hilarious. I'm sorry, that dude was absolutely hilarious. Some of the shit that he came out with is how I would talk in front of people who are that intelligent. So I totally was like, I get you. I really get you. I love him. So he was not used enough.
I love that scene between him and Amy where she goes up to him, she just touches him and he just goes, ah. She's like, that'll hold me. And then just at the end, just Sheldon just looks at him, just goes, and then just walks off.
It's every time she just keeps going,
who?
When he's around, who?
But
just some of the stuff he came out with, man, it was class.
Like when he dressed up as Superman as well. It's like we've actually got someone that doesn't need platforms to play Superman. But no, Poppy's mine was Kripke. I just thought he was absolutely gold every time he was on because he was so annoying, but absolutely hilariously, and like say to do that lisp all the way through as well.
Yeah.
Because he's been like side characters as well, because he was in The Big Bang Theory at one point as well, like as a robber dressed as a nun. Who got attacked by a big baby or something. I think it was the episode. It was like he was in one of the Halloween heists. But yeah. But yeah, Kripke, like say going through when Sheldon and Amy's waiting for the Nobel phone call, and he rings up and goes, "Thuckers!" But yeah, Kripke was probably like one of the ones that kind of stood out, and I always kind of enjoyed his interaction as well. Leslie Winkle as well, like a nice little, because there was lots of like Roseanne nods to this as well.
There was a load of Roseanne nods and a load of Roseanne props as well. Amy's blanket that sits in her apartment is the blanket that sat on the settee at Roseanne's, and it's very generic. Like it's a very generic looking American blanket, but it was the exact same pattern.
And what about you, Goodwill?
Like I said, Stuart.
I
think
because you relate to Stuart.
Cheers, Paul. Yeah. So that New Year's resolution's out the fucking window, then, is it? Yeah.
I've been well behaved. Don't worry.
No, I think the actor who played him just like nailed the quintessential, very antisocial, very nervous type of person. And I love that there's one little scene with him where Amy, Penny, and Bernadette are in they're reading the feedback from the Yelp reviews, and they were like, the guy in the counter, I said I liked his shirt, so he took it off and gave it to me. And then there's one where it's just like, but there's one where it's like the guy just stared at me and never blinked, and the camera just goes to it, just like.
Stuart,
kind of like that, yeah.
Stuart is such a different character from the first time you meet him until he becomes kind of more of a regular. Because the first time you meet him, he's kind of funny and he's very confident, and he gets a date with Penny and a second date with Penny, and there's just this shift of anxiety-ridden. We all understand where he's coming from, and it totally changes his character, but not in a bad way.
I think that's just basically advice for the world. Don't own your own comic book store. That's what happens to you.
It looks stressful, but it looks like the comic book shop itself looks fantastic. Like me and Ant have sometimes paused on it to like view everything that's there.
I was pissed off because they actually used real life, real comics. And when I saw Next Men, was it 26 or 23, the first appearance of Hellboy, I was like, that's an expensive comic. I fucking
No.
hate use.
They use
It's one of the ones I've not been able to get my hands on.
they use a lot, like they use a lot of stuff that wasn't released already. Like certain nerds would pick up and they're like, "Oh, Diamond Select's got this coming out. Oh, it's already in the big bang." And they'd just like they'd use like products that weren't released, like obviously the Game of Thrones replica swords and the Star Trek props and stuff like that. But
When
some
they
of
get
the
that sword, it's so funny.
hello, Will Wheaton, and but I mean, I've done the same. Like I've paused and I'm like, oh my god, it's like an awesome. So I'd love to visit a comic store like that and just walk around, because some of the comics, like Paul said, they did have rare ones.
Yeah.
And like some of the props, you're just like, I really want that.
It's when they're flicking through it and going, got it. And Ant's like, I don't know how many times I've done that in one of the side boxes, because there used to be a comic book shop in Sunderland, which is where we used to go as a kid. And he would just sit with the boxes going, got it.
I did, like, so I went into a comic book shop not in America but in Canada when I went to Toronto, and looking, seeing like not just like this, like them boxes like where you can go in and see now, but the comics that are on the wall. They had the Amazing Spider-Man number one on the wall, and I was just like, but it was like behind glass and couldn't get near it or anything like that. I can still remember that. But imagine like, because to some of them, like say the comics that they picked up probably didn't mean as much to them as probably the people who were watching it. So that was the thing. But when I saw him, like, so it was when Leonard was flirting with again, one of the mistakes was getting, like, well, I think they rectified quite quickly, was like Raj's sister. Like, say, she was not
that was
character.
not a good choice for Leonard. No. We don't like it when she's in it. We kind of do skip those episodes. We're not a big fan of that relationship. We weren't bothered that he wasn't with Penny. It just didn't work with her.
No, but
Priya,
that was it. Yeah, but it served its purpose. But as I said, there's so many different like aspects and like levels to different why you like this show, or why certain episodes do stand out. But it's when they talk about like things like San Diego Comic Con and like how, and I think one of the episodes I love is when the scalper was basically coming to the house and like always a known robber and stuff like that.
Was so terrified.
But we've all had them nerves and scared. But I love it how, like, say, they recycle a lot of the cast as well, because some of the people that like play very, very, very small parts, they'll appear again later on, like the goth girl who Howard and Raj pick up.
I love that episode.
She appears again when they go into what's it called, the escape room. She's at the door letting them into the escape room. So it's like it's the same actress that plays, but she's still looking gothy, so it could be the same person. Just like
they just forgot about her.
Yeah.
And the very first episode, the very first scene when Sheldon and Leonard walk into this bit, I don't know if they've figured out Sheldon yet at this point, because they walk in to do a sperm donation, and to me, I don't know. For me, I'm like, I don't think Sheldon would do that. I would think you would think it's been a waste. But
that was a pilot, wasn't it?
No, it was the second pilot.
It was the second one, because the first one.
Oh yeah, didn't have
You've got Penny wasn't there, and it was a different Penny, and Howard and Raj were women.
Sheldon had sex in the first episode.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Yes. So I was very confused on the pilot when they go into and Sheldon's going to go and masturbate for money. I was like, that doesn't seem like a Sheldon move, but
yeah. But there's a lot of like things, because I think from the first pilot, because I think the DVD release, one of the DVD box sets, you could watch the pilot that never aired. And that was
joking? A lot of... We used to have them. Yeah, that's how we watched them.
you can probably get it somewhere, but again, like I say, Sheldon gets laid. He's more of a sidekick to Leonard, just like say as the way it plays out. But a lot of the jokes and like say are carried over into the second pilot. So that like the Sperm Donor one, that's how I think the first pilot does start as well. And then makes jokes, because like say they make a joke about Sheldon masturbating a lot.
He does it in the one that was the one that they actually used.
Yeah.
To then continue the series on.
But as well, one thing I did catch recently, because like I say, I've been trying to flick through them, they made a continuity error with Penny.
All right.
Ooh, go on.
So I don't know if it's the first or second episode, Penny makes reference to her sister.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
doesn't
go
have
on.
a sister later on, and she has a brother.
No, she has a brother, and she
Yeah.
also makes reference to where she's from. She says she's from, because
Omaha.
someone's Omaha, and she's
Yeah,
from
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they say, "Oh, you're from Nebraska," and she goes, "Oh no, I'm from Omaha."
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't quite know Penny yet.
Yeah. So like I said, with anything the change as they go and stuff like that. But as a show, like say 12 seasons long, there is going to be like the small hiccups. But it's funny that like say we've watched it that many times, you pick up on these little things because you know these characters, you know them inside out, you know them almost like family. And again, like I one of the things I haven't went to, just because I don't know how I'll feel about, was the little Sheldon, because the bully that basically picks on Leonard ends up being Sheldon's dad.
Yeah, he's also what's he called in Always Sunny? He's fucking brilliant. But it's not bad, and it's made because the actress who plays Sheldon's mom is the daughter of the actress who plays Sheldon's mom in Big Bang Theory. So the voice is, and Sheldon's mom, an amazing character. Fucking love her. But yeah, it's made special because of that. His sister Missy is a little firecracker. It's his Mima, Annie Potts, who really, like, she is fucking phenomenal. But we watched the first episode. Sorry's dad, obviously it's Leonard's bully. But then we went, we know the outcome of Sheldon's dad.
Yeah.
And do I really want to attach myself to this character who I know will break Sheldon's heart? So we haven't finished it. It's not too bad though. It's not terrible. But yeah.
No, it's probably will be something I'll pick up, but it's not something I've felt like I've needed to see, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get that. We've watched a couple of episodes, and it's not something that I think we'll ever pick back up again. It's never gonna be Big Bang. Let's put it that way. Certainly. And like I say, me and Ant can watch that. We will watch that once a year, from start to finish, and still laugh at the same points. One being that's just come to me head that I can't believe I didn't mention before is Howard's impressions.
He is so good.
That Nicolas Cage one still cracks me and Ant up. It is hilarious. His impression of Nick Cage, and who else?
Christopher Walken one's always me.
Al Pacino as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that's when and there's Shatner as well, to try and get into the D&G games, and then Raj is like bringing over cocktails, and he's going, "What are you doing? He's spoiling everything." But I think, like as I said, all the interactions are just magic at times as well. But when they show the real heart to the show is when they all come together, because like I say, that friendship group must drive each other nuts. Like little things where Howard goes into space and all there for him and stuff.
Oops.
And as I said, when I think Howard and Bernadette get married on top of the building something beyond Google, the photograph took on Google Earth.
Yeah.
And then like things like Amy and Sheldon when they get married, because they're just going to elope, and then he goes, "No, you deserve something better than this." And I haven't even mentioned say Amy's parents.
Oh God, yeah, Kathy Bates, and who again is a replacement, because you do see Amy's mom on screen, and that is not her. But also Teller.
It's one of the Tellers.
Yeah, I think it's Teller, the quiet one.
The quiet one. The wedding of Amy and Sheldon's wedding, when he walks, because they're just about to break the theory, aren't they? That's gonna they go for the Nobel Prize for, and it's when he walks into the room and he does it in a very unlikable, like not unlikable, sorry, un-Sheldon thing, because normally Sheldon would walk into that room and say what he has to say, but he stops himself and he goes, "Oh, you look beautiful."
Yeah.
And it's just little moments like that where you realize how much Sheldon's actually grown as a person.
Yeah.
Is when he stops himself from talking, when usually you'd know fine well he would just go straight into it, and he tells her how beautiful she is, and I love it.
But
and I
I'd
love
say
the
when,
fact that they delay their wedding just to crack that theory.
and I love it as well when she's picking a dress, because she's going through these amazing dresses and she looks absolutely phenomenal, and she picks the one that makes her look like something like a side quest out of Little House on the Prairie, and that's just totally who like Amy is and what she would love. And when she shows it to Sheldon and he loves it as well, that shows you why and how they connected so much. And I love that they have the honeymoon at Legoland, and he serves them Lego egg, eggs and bacon, like, but um, but it's like when they get frustrated with each other as well, and you can see, because you would be getting as frustrated as them in them type of scenarios and stuff. But it's like I say, it was I don't understand, and again I know I like harped on it at the start, so I don't want to go over too much, is why this show at times gets the shit it gets, because
I don't understand it.
Because because it was one of the first shows as well where, again, just said this is what I read, it might be wrong, where the cast wanted equal pay for the male and female stars as well.
Yep, and they got it. So the first three, the three main what you would deem as the three main cast members, Kaylee Cuoco, Jim Parsons, and Johnny Galecki, they got $1 million an episode, but they negotiated for the same for Kamal and I think his name's Simon, to then come just below them. But then when the women got involved with Bernadette and Maya Balik, then they renegotiated it all so they were exactly the same level.
Yeah,
they knew exactly how much this show was bringing in, not just for television but merchandise as well. They knew their worth. And they fucking fought for it, because I think they would have no issue walking away from it.
It's the same when, like, with Frasier, that type thing. Because at the time when Frasier was out, he was one of the most highest like paid actors, like Kelsey Grammer, because he knew there was no Frasier without him. But that's another episode.
That's another episode once I'm finished. But Friends did exactly the same. They went in and they renegotiated the contract, because people do start to realize that you've not just got television, you've got merchandise, you've got reruns. They're making millions upon millions over a job that you're doing. They knew exactly how much they were worth. I will praise anyone who could stand up and do that.
So let's get down to it. So the final episode.
What an episode. What a way to finish a series off. The one before it, is it the one before or is it this one where they get the notification that they've won the Nobel Prize?
So that was the one before. So
the one before.
Because basically, because they find out the dirt on Sean Astin's character.
Yeah.
And all the shit.
And he's a plagiarist.
All the shit hits the fan. And then you're waiting, as you said, when you're sitting waiting there.
And that slap. And he's like, what happens if I'm dreaming? Smack. And it was that moment there was like all that built up frustration, because I get Leonard and his frustration with Sheldon. We all feel it. We've all been through it. I also get very annoyed with Leonard as well. Incredibly self-centered sometimes. However, he does put up with a lot of shit on Sheldon's side. So that slap was 12 years of built up frustration just put into that face. But I burst into tears. I knew they were going to get it. Like, that's where it was going to. But I literally burst into tears when it's the pause she makes and she just goes, "We won," in such a very somber, like, oh yeah, we won. But oh shite, I've just knocked everything. I burst into tears at that moment. I did not stop crying from start to finish of that episode, of the final episode.
But then, like, say the episode after is like they kind of do the switch and bait type thing, where all the characters fall out with Sheldon because he's being Sheldon, and then he does the most un-Sheldon thing ever by giving that speech because of his realization, because it's not with his relationship with all of them, but probably is more so his relationship with Amy. and she makes him see and realize things that he probably could never have realized before.
Yeah,
and that's why, like say, Amy was, and like say, one of my favorite characters, just for them type of moments.
It's when she says, we do it because we you are annoying, you are frustrating, you get on our nerves, but we put up with it because we love you. And he's like, oh, okay, that's what this is. It's love. And it's that realization that Sheldon has put them through a lot of years of Sheldonisms.
Sheldon abuse.
Yeah, it is. He's an incredibly difficult person to deal with because of he's so highly intelligent and he fucking knows it.
So this is what Goodwill's going to have in 10 years' time after the abuse I've put him through.
What a realization. It was love all along.
Fingers crossed, guys.
But the fact that we rounded up Leonard and when they started leaving Leonard and Penny alone, I loved the relationship. You always knew it was going to work out when they finally left them alone. I thought there was some teetering with the whole cheating thing when he kissed somebody. I thought, oh God, they're going to break them up again. We're going to go through the same thing, but they didn't. And they left that relationship alone. And then to get to the end where she's pregnant.
Yeah, but I think that's like, say,
didn't see that one coming either.
With a lot of relationships as well, not all relationships are perfect. You don't always get that storybook type of story. So
no.
It's about
balance.
Forgiveness, I was going to say.
Oh, okay. I just liked, I didn't mind when they argued because you knew after that whole cheating thing, if they can get through that, they'll get through anything. So I was fine with the normalization of their relationship. I just love the fact, and I did not see it coming because she made it very clear on one episode that she didn't want kids.
Yeah, but then they done the flip when Leonard was going to give birth to donate his sperm to Zach. So I knew that was going to be on the cards, but
I'm so naive. I did not see that coming. I really didn't. I did not see the pregnancy announcement coming. I thought Bernadette was going to be pregnant again.
No, bless that poor woman had been through enough.
Well, it honestly, the actress who plays her, so they dropped in the storyline of her being pregnant with Hallie because she was pregnant. She miscarried that child, but she still continued the storyline on like a fucking trooper that she is. And then the reason she was pregnant a second time so quickly is because she was pregnant again. And they wanted to make sure that she was comfortable. And she was very happy to do these storylines. But my God, what a woman. When I found that out, I was like, I busted it. Oh my God, I've cried so much through this series. I really have. They took me on an emotional roller coaster.
So I know we've had the spin-off with young Sheldon, but take that aside, like with Goodwill saying, like, things being left open. If you were going to do a spin-off, like I say, it doesn't have to involve all the characters, doesn't even have to involve the main characters. What kind of spin-off would you do? Or how would you do it?
The Adventures of Stuart.
I was literally about to say Stuart.
Stuart. He's the most intriguing, like, out of the core group. He is very intriguing. So yes, Stuart.
Because he got a good payoff at the end, because he got a girlfriend and they moved in with each other. And I think, if you were ever going to do, if you were going to do a season 13 and you were going to do a spin-off, I think Stuart would be the logical option for that. Because he had the availability of the entire cast and the regulars. Because they all congregated in the comic book store.
Yeah.
Didn't he get his happy ending as well? Didn't he end up with the girl from Jurassic World?
Yeah, but didn't they have that creepy roommate do because it's say you love me?
Yeah, but that's when they said, like, because they were going to move in and they were trying to get rid of the creepy roommate, and he was like, tell her that you love her, and like they did that really touching scene. He was like, now tell me that you love me. But think I think that would be it would be interesting. I'm more with if you were going to do something, continue with the season 13 or not at all.
Yeah. I would be like jokey side. I wouldn't mind seeing Penny the Younger Years, saying like, but it probably have to be a blue movie or something like that.
We find out a surname.
Yes.
He doesn't have one.
Or because I wouldn't mind going back to Nebraska or Omaha, depending on which one we go with. Just
to see our brother as well, like a fucking drug dealing brother.
Yep, and a mother, Katie Sackhoff.
No, Katie
not Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff.
It's a girl. Yeah,
Seagal.
I know my mistake. Married with Children, seeing that family. But the serious one, I wouldn't mind seeing Will Wheaton, having like going from Will Wheaton's life, and seeing it from his point of view. I would probably stay away from the main cast and just have them pop in from time to time.
Yeah.
And like I say, see how they're getting on. But like I said, that would be the only way I think it would work. Because when they've done spin-offs before with the main cast, it's not been great. Like look at Joey for an example.
Oh good God.
The only big one I can think was a huge success was Frasier from Cheers.
Was Frasier? Yeah.
Yeah.
Frasier's like, I think that's where people go with, when they're looking at like spin-offs, they're like, oh, wait, Frasier worked. And he was just a side character in Cheers.
That was lightning in a bottle, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't think Kelsey Grammer could happen again, if that makes sense.
I hope not. I love the fact, by the way, that they used Katie. I don't know if it's Kathy Seagal.
Kathy Seagal.
Seagal or something
Katie
like
Seagal.
that. I love the fact that they used her as a mother, because it was obviously our mother in 8 Simple Rules.
Yeah.
I love that they used her, and her dad is a Carradine. He's Martha Plimpton's dad from the Goonies. There you go. I got a Goonies reference in too.
Obviously, her brother was from 30 Rock as well.
Yeah,
I love our brother. He's hilarious.
The most non-drug dealer that there was.
Yeah. I love it. I just love when they're all together. I did wish we got to know Penny's name, but she got one in the end. It was Hofstadter.
Penny Hofstadter, what a name! But yes, all the adventures of Raj's dog, just to see what he goes through.
Was it Cinnamon? Cinnamon,
yes, Cinnamon. Poor dog. But yes,
that dog was well loved.
Definitely. The only thing I would say, because most TV shows or movies now rely a lot on, like, say, music and stuff, I don't think The Big Bang, other than the opening, had any big or, like, say, musical like things you could remember that, like, say, things. So that for a pop cultured show or reference and stuff, I think that was probably one thing that I didn't miss, but probably could have improved it, if that makes sense.
I think the only, much like Phoebe's song, Smelly Cat in Friends, we have Soft Kitty.
Yeah, very much so.
And I think that's the only, obviously, bar the Bare Naked Ladies theme, it's just, that's the only thing that people take away from it.
And I think that'd be a good way to end it, with Goodwill now singing Soft Kitty to us.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr.
Oh,
didn't expect him to go with it, guys, but he did. So
he actually
don't provoke me.
Don't poke the bear.
Well, that was a lovely talk on Big Bang. I'm glad we got to do it. I'm glad I got to, because I could literally just tell you, like, I love this show so much. It is incredibly special. I don't understand. I'll never understand the hate it gets, ever.
I don't think since it's finished there's been a sitcom that has caught the popularity as much as Big Bang Theory.
It was, I actually thought it came out at the time because nerd culture really came into its own at around about 2013. And I thought that's when that's like, oh my God, it's riding the coattails of, it's okay to be, but it came out in 2007.
Yeah.
I think,
my God.
I think you can't describe it. I mean, it is, I think the simple way to describe it is it was like the next generation's Friends.
Yes, but I think why its popularity was good because it had jokes and comedy for kids, jokes and comedy for adults, jokes and comedy for teenagers, and for the elder people as well. It kind of catered to all areas, and it wasn't focused too much on being a demographic for certain age level. It was like, as you said, family friendly, and we don't get that now these days. Like, if you think of like big American sitcoms, like we'll go through the list, like Friends, Big Bang Theory, Scrubs. Big Bang Theory was probably the last big one.
Yeah,
we don't have anything like that at the moment.
No,
I think the hopes are from what you read and what you see, people are pinning a lot on that 90s show.
Right.
As being the next big sitcom. Because if you look at what's been made since 2008, there has been a ton of sitcoms. I mean, Mayim Bialik's in one.
oh my god.
There's one with Wanda Sykes. I mean, the one that Mayim Bialik's on, they've just done a really touching tribute to Leslie Jordan.
This is why. Oh my god, I've never watched any of it, but what they did was, so obviously Leslie Jordan passed away, and they let his character go off and get married, and then they're all talking about him, and they're all so happy, and then all of a sudden, one of the actresses just breaks the fourth wall, grabs his director's seat that had his name on it, like like them director seats. Puts it in the front, then puts his glittery jacket over the top of it, and the whole cast is just bawling their eyes out while Mayim Bialik is trying to say this speech. It was heartbreaking. I didn't even watch it. I've never even heard of it.
But it's stuff like that. I mean, the Fresh Prince did it with those types of scenes, didn't they, as well? But the popularity of the Big Bang, I think it's going to be very hard. It may be a while. For it to be toppled. Like I said, people are hoping for that 90s show. But you never know. Yeah. There might be something there might be something next year that comes out in the fall schedule, and it will be as bigger than the Big Bang. You don't know, but I think it is hard to sum up why it was so popular, because there was so many factors that made it popular. But right. I think out of all of it, it let people know it was okay to love what you love, be yourself, and don't let anyone tell you any different.
Yeah.
And that's the message we're going to end it with there.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
So thank you everyone in the chat.
Thank
I know
you.
everyone's basically saying they're going to clip Goodwill singing and help them thing. And one person actually said that Goodwill cured COVID for
that's
song.
the comment of the night. Goodwill singing that cured COVID.
So well done, Goodwill.
God.
So we are
next week.
Yes, so next week's going to be a big week. We have our first. Where we're not going to have an episode generally on talking about nerdy stuff. We're going to focus on a nerdy business. So we do have a special guest on, she's called Dan, and she runs a Facebook group called, I'm just going to get it right now because I don't want to say it wrong. I believe it's Bleeding Marvelous, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Bleeding Marvelous.
I can see the logo in my head now, yeah.
Yeah, so she has an online store where she sells a lot of pop culture, horror, things, but she does all of the conventions. So she goes to all the big conventions up and down the UK. If you've been to one, you might have seen her, you might have talked to her. She's coming on to tell us basically a bit about herself. I think it's Friday the 13th, so it's quite apt. So there might be a conversation about horror and like say and stuff is there. So Sam will be over the moon.
But I can't wait. We're going to talk businesses and con life.
Yes. So again, it's not going to be about us. It's going to be about, like say, interesting takes. So me and Sam's going to be approaching a lot more, like say, nerdy businesses as well, because we want to try and promote them, especially like say ones that are involved in the Nerdy Up North community, just to give them a platform to tell them a bit about themselves and just have a bit of fun with them as well. Then we're back on Sunday as well for I think it's End of the World movies.
Yes, it is. We're gonna start the year by ending it.
Yay! So yes, and then Goodwill will be twitching on Tuesday, which we already told about. Hopefully, we'll be playing something fun, not that shit truck simulator.
Far Cry 5, man. Away.
Well, you can catch us on the Facebook community group. If you haven't already joined yet, we are on our social media platforms on Instagram and TikTok. Please come and join us in TikTok. We also have our Twitch group running that is done by the lovely Goodwill and Jake.
Yes, and yeah, so there's lots of stuff planned, lots of stuff going on. We will be starting planning for the Nerd Fest as well, where we'll be hosting the cosplayer competition and also doing not the podcast live, but we will be recording a few stuff. And I know Sam will be launching her stuff for the Patreon regarding Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so if you're into fantasy, you need to get signed up to Patreon because it's going to get all fantasy up in there.
Yes, and she might even not wear pants. That's that type of Patreon we'll do it.
It's that type. We're going dark, guys. We're going dark.
And Treon.
And we're not just talking about a puberty haircuts there, but that's fine.
My goodness.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so please and thank you, and yeah, so same bat time, same bat channel, guys.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.